Heaven Hill has an ultra premium annual release named after their former master distiller Parker Beam. And this year's offering is a 10-year rye whiskey for $189.99. Is it worth the money or another distillery limited edition money grab? If you want to find out, then stick around. All right, Aaron, before we get started, we have to give a shout out to our sponsor,
Goody Goody.
Goody Goody Liquor. Goody Goody is your Texas-based neighborhood liquor store that has all your beverage needs covered. They have your favorite everyday whiskey, single barrels, and the occasional allocated item, plus thousands more items for you to discover. They have an enormous selection of spirits outside of bourbon, wine from all over the world at all price points, beer for every palate, and all the ingredients for any cocktail you can think of. You can pick up your everyday, or you can go there and ask their knowledgeable staff to find something new. Goody Goody has many convenient locations, and their size allows for them to pass some savings on to you. On average, when you shop at Goody Goody, you pay less. Ask about becoming a Bottle Club member for exclusive access to allocated items and discounts on everyday purchases. You can visit goodygoody.com to use their store locator or order online today. All right. So, backstory, Parker Heritage. Parker Beam was the great-grand-nephew of Jim Beam fame.
No, okay.
And a lot of the viewers out there may not know this, but the Beams are generally the master distillers for all the major Kentucky distillers.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so Parker Heritage had a Beam as a distiller for their, or not Parker Heritage, Heaven Hill had a Beam as their distiller for their entire existence until recently. Jim Beam, like the nose, are actually Beams as well.
Oh.
It was through the mother's side, and so they lost the name at some point. But unfortunately, Parker was battling ALS, and he passed away on January the 9th, 2017. And a portion of every bottle that's sold of Parker Heritage goes to ALS research.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. He was named the Master Distiller Emeritus for Heaven Hill. And they still honor him today, so I think that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
So the SKU is Parker Heritage Kentucky Straight Rye 17th Edition. The age is 10 years. It was all barreled in August, October, and December of 2012. The proof is 128.8, so we got a little proof on there. And the SRP is $189.99. The bottle size is 750 mLs. And what do you say we taste this bad boy out?
Findability is
pretty low. Yeah, this is a hard one to get. This review is really for all of you that are going to go out there and stand in line for the allocated releases and all that stuff. Do you want to spend your money on this one or not?
Mm-hmm. This is fantastic.
This is not one you're going to walk in the store and you're going to find on the shelf. Okay. So right off the rip, I'm getting a tasting note that I love on the nose that I do not find in rye whiskey.
And that is?
Cherries.
Really? I don't get cherries.
I get
look
it.
for them though. I
get a dark cherry. It's a little more noticeable on the palate.
I get something that I don't typically get on rye whiskeys.
What's that?
Nuttiness.
It's Heaven Hill.
I get it, but it's still rye.
Okay, so on the palate, it's really interesting. It tastes like, you know those chocolate covered cherry cordials that have the cream? I get a little bit of chocolate that might be that nutty flavor that's coming through because it's a little bit of bitterness like this.
Oh yeah.
Like the red skin on a peanut. You mix that with some cherry and a ton of like creamy vanilla. And it reminds me a little bit of those chocolate.
So this, do we know the mash bill on this?
We do, which is significant in understanding the flavor. It is only 51% rye.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's only 51% rye. So
Yeah.
just so y'all know out there, this is what would be referred to as a Kentucky style rye.
Definitely.
Kentucky makes barely legal ryes, right?
Which I love.
Right. So it's the closest thing to bourbon that you can get and still call it a rye. Maryland style ryes or Pennsylvania style ryes, they are typically 80+% rye content in their mash bill. This one's only 51. which is probably why we're getting. I mean, it's still got the spice.
No, for sure.
There's cinnamon, there's nutmeg, there's clove, there's all of that.
Do you remember you were at my house a few weeks ago? Maybe was it for Linner?
Yeah, Linner.
Yeah. And I opened I had a Jack Daniel's single barrel. You know what it was?
Right.
A rye. I think it's like 136, so it's a little hotter than this. It's a hot one. And you were perplexed how good it was. And then when I told you it was a rye, this reminds me of that bottle specifically.
This is the Bourbon Drinker's Rye.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of some really good, and I hate to say that, but it has more of that. Because I think Jacks are what? 70% rye. They're not that 95.5.
Yeah, I can't remember
Either way. But this is much more, like I said, I'm getting a lot of the nuttiness from the Heaven Hill.
Yeah. And it's not in a bad way. Sometimes Heaven Hill is so nutty that I'm like, it's all I taste.
Not me.
This is well integrated into the rest of this flavor profile. Very interesting. All right.
Fantastic.
Now, on a 100-point scale, how would you rate this?
Like a 92.
Same. Up top.
Super high for me, man.
Yeah,
that's really good.
92 on this one for me.
Damn, that's good.
This is up there. Is it a buy or a pass at 190?
At 190? Hell yeah, it's a buy.
It's a buy. Again, don't blow your whole whiskey budget on just one bottle. But if you got the money...
I mean, if you're standing in front of you've got, the pick of the litter.
Right.
Obviously, make your decision
Make
wisely.
your decision wisely. But if you can afford it,
$200, man.
you're not going to be disappointed with this bottle.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, so let's give something away.
Yeah, what are we doing?
All right, here's what we're going to do on this one. I think I left the bottle over here. Here it is. So one of the things that Parker was credited with is, along with Booker No and Elmer T. Lee, they kind of resurrected bourbon out of the dark ages by coming up with special offerings and re-energizing the consuming base for the products that they made. And one of the things that Parker created was Elijah Craig.
Okay.
And so I was looking for, obviously I don't have a Parker Heritage to give away because they're so hard to find. So I was going through my inventory and I wanted to find a bottle that he had a hand in making. And I actually picked this years ago. So he would have been the distiller whenever this was made.
Oh, so this is like a...
This is a single barrel that I personally selected.
That's awesome.
Okay. This is before they allowed us to do them at barrel proof, because this one's here sold. You can see there's some dust on the top of this.
A little dusty.
Little bit dusty. But yeah, so I'm going to be giving away a 1 ounce sample of this bottle, along with a full bottle of this Elijah Craig.
1 ounce is worth it alone. That's a good pour.
Yeah, worth it alone. But I wanted to honor the memory of Parker. So
the finish is still going.
It is in there. It is doing a whole thing. All right, so if you want to win the bottle and the sample, I need you to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. I need you to comment on the video. I'd love it if you share it, although that's not required to enter. And I need you to go to the video description, click the link, and plug in your information saying that you want to be entered into the randomizer. And if you win, I will reach out to you to get your shipping information and ship you the 1 ounce sample in this bottle absolutely for free. And yeah, so we really want you paying attention. So we're giving away stuff on every video.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. If you like this content, we'd love for you to support the channel. You can support just by subscribing. But if you want to take it a step further, I'd love for you to check out our Patreon. It's Bourbon Real Talk Plus. We have a lot of great member benefits, huge discounts on merchandise. We do distillery takeovers. We're planning some really awesome distillery takeovers.
Distillery takeover?
Yeah, so basically we go in as a group. We're king for the day. We get to private tour, taste out of barrels. We usually do a barrel pick while we're there. Often there's some food involved. We've had some that were catered. Some of the places have their own restaurants. When we went to JT Mellick, they did a crawfish bowl for us.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's a really good time. Everybody gets to hang out. But there's a lot of other member benefits, so check that out. You can also support us by buying merchandise on our site. We have a lot of awesome things: custom-made bottle bags, carriers for your glasses so they don't break, custom glassware, everything that you could need as a whiskey enthusiast. But we are also in real estate.
We are.
And I'm a residential real estate agent, so if you need real estate services in the Dallas or Houston metro area, I do give epic bottles as closing gifts. And Aaron, you're a lender.
I'm a lender. Yep. Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Colorado. If you need a home loan, let me know. I definitely can compete with anybody else out there. So.
And customer service is off the charts. And you can get to any of that by clicking the links in the video description. So I hope that this was enjoyable for you. And we'll see you next time on Bourbon Mill Talk.
Cheers.